Here are some tips and tricks to help your fellow working class people gain class consciousness. Number one is stop using phrases like the rich, the elite, ruling class, 1%, oligarchy, and refer to them as the class that they actually are, the capitalist class, right? Because when you use things like the rich, the elite, the 1%, it doesn't get to the root of the problem of how they obtained their money and power to begin with, right? They obtained their money and power through exploitation of the working class by owning capital that working class people need to survive or do their job, right? That is how they obtain money, through exploitation of the working class. So saying something like calling them just rich, that's not the problem, right? The problem is how they became rich. Calling them the ruling class, well, again, how did they obtain that power? Basically, under capitalism, money buys power and power decides. So they obtained a bunch of money and basically bought their way into the ruling class. Elite is just a joke because there's absolutely nothing elite about them except their elite abilities at being able to exploit the working class. Oligarchy, same thing. So just refer to them as what they are. And if you are talking to someone you think they'll shut off when you say capitalist class, you can say capital owning class instead, and maybe that will help them understand. Or owning class is okay, but I like to add that word capital in there because, again, that is how they are obtaining their wealth, through ownership of capital. Second is how you refer to the middle class, okay? So the majority of people refer to the middle class, or what most people see as a middle class person, is somebody who's truly just a higher wage working class person, right? So if you just make your money through your labor, you're just paid a nice salary, people consider that middle class, right? But that's not what's important to determine your class, not how much money you have. What's important is how were you able to obtain the money to begin with, right? And so if somebody is just a higher wage working class person, refer to them as a higher wage working class person. A true middle class person would be somebody who builds their wealth through their labor, but also owns some capital as well to extract some value from other working class people. So that would be somebody who's like a small-time landlord but still has a job, or small business owners, right? Like who still need to work and manage their business, right? Because managing is labor, not ownership, though, which leads me to point number 3. And I'll end with this one. Point number 3, stop conflating owning something with managing something, okay? One of the two is labor. The management is, right? Actually managing something, like take a landlord, for example. If you are managing the property, that is labor, okay? But ownership is different. And how can you tell? Because if you are a big enough landlord, we'll take, for example, you can hire somebody to do all the management for you, right? And that's what property managers are, right? They are people who are going to manage the properties, while the landlord still owns the property. They don't even have to lift a finger. They outsource all the labor and have all other people do the labor for them, and then they still get to pocket all the money just through ownership of the property, okay? So stop conflating managing with ownership. So there you go. There's 3 quick tips to help you spread class consciousness to your fellow working class people, because at the end of the day, the working class is never going to unite against the class that is exploiting them until they understand who is exploiting them and how they're able to do it.